country, freely pledge we all, led by the flag for which we stand. Blue for the man that seeks the good and true, red for our progress in the game, white for the glory of a heart that's pure, bright with an ever-shining flame. Alma Mater, we hail, God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all, for God our land and SFL. Alma Mater, we hail, God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all, land and SFL. Truth and love, let us unite and be true to our glorious college dream. High on the hill, a beacon light is sheep, leading our children on to faith. March on to glory is a message full, spread truth and love both far and wide. Loyal to the hands who reigns of guidance, teacher and pupil side by side. Alma Mater, we hail, God give us and great success. And love will conquer all, for God our land and SFL. Alma Mater, God give us and great success. With truth and love will conquer all, for God our land and SFL.
Yesterday is a history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift given to us. That's why it is called the present. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the management and principal Dr. K.G. Thomas, sir, of St. Francis de Sales College, Nagpur, I, Tungatar, student of BA second year, welcome you all to the fourth day of Faculty Development Program. Today's topic is effective monitoring of students. And to enlighten us on this topic, we have with us our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Srikant Prabhu sir, who is an associate professor at the Manipal University of Technology. Dr. Prabhu sir, I heartily welcome you to today's program. With great delight, I would like to introduce Dr. Prabhu sir to all of you. An expert in engineering, mathematics, computer organization, and architecture work experience of 22 years, Dr. Srikant Prabhu sir has done MSc in mathematics and a specialization in computer science. Sir has also completed MTech in computer science and data processing and PhD from the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. Dr. Prabhu sir has published research papers in journals with an impact factor of more than 7. He has also published papers in Scopus Index at national and international conferences. He had won awards at national and international levels. The most significant ones are the Best Project Award for MTech Thesis or project entitled Face Recognition System for Criminal Identification using Distributed Computer at IIT Kharagpur, and the Best Authoritarian Award from FTMS Malaysia. Under Sir's able guidance, one student has been awarded PhD, another has submitted his PhD thesis, and 6 students are pursuing their research. Sir has delivered keynote address at Gongsi University, Nanning, China in November 2018, and has presented papers in France, Italy, Malaysia, Singapore, and Japan. Sir has also attended Rotary International Conventions in USA, Canada, and Germany. He is currently the lead Indian supervisor at Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia since March 2018. Sir has been faculty sponsor at ACM Club, IEEE Site Chair, District Chairman of Rotary Club, and DTM of Toastmasters Club. Also, he has been a part of Synergic Manipal Integrated Leadership Engagement Program 2016-18. He has also organized numerous funded workshops and conferences on computer applications using modern algebra. Currently, Sir is working on a consultancy project on facial analysis cyber forensic software development with Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology in coordination with SIFS New Delhi. Sir, it's indeed a great honor and privilege to have you with us today. I feel fortunate to receive this opportunity to introduce you on this day. Before we move ahead, I would like to request all the participants to post their queries on YouTube chat box and Google Meet chat box. The questions will be addressed to Sir after his talk. Sir, I now humbly invite you to deliver your talk and enlighten us with your words.
Thank you. Good morning, all of you. Effective mentoring of students by me, Dr. Shrikant Prabhu. Before I go into the topic major, we should understand the meaning of the words mentor and student. Mentor is a person who gives guidelines, and here students are the entities who receive these guidelines from the faculty. When I'm talking about effective mentoring of students, I need to understand first how I was mentored by my teachers in my school and also in the college where I did my Master of Sciences, Master of Technology, and PhD. So I need to give my examples first to you all, how I was mentored by my teachers and professors when the days were good and when the days were bad also. Sometimes when I look at my days in the 1980s, I think I had a lot of good days, and I also think that I had bad days. Similarly, in the 1990s and in 2000, when I was doing my MTech and PhD, right? So I will put those examples before you, and it is going to be a very interesting case study, right? Uh, so it is mentoring for students. I am not putting the word effective mentoring because it is very relative. I hope everybody is able to see, right? Everybody is able to see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
I am not putting the word effective here because the word effective is very relative. All of us are human beings, and God has given us the equal capacity to do mentoring for those students. We are all equals. So that's why I kept the topic mentoring for students. And as the minutes go by for this talk, it is going to become more and more effective. So that's why I thought I will miss this word effective here. Now I kept a slide empty here. I would like to start with a case study, right? I studied at DPS Bhilai, Delhi Public School Bhilai. So what were my experiences in class 12? Okay, in class 12, I want absolute silence, please. No noise, right? Please, right. So in class 12, I had model exams, right? That is in January 1993. So I would like to put my marks here, what marks I got. That is 1 month before the board exams. In English, I got 39 out of 100. In mathematics, I got 65 out of 100. In biology, I got 9 out of 70. Then in practicals, that is practicals is held only once, that is a final exam, I got 25 out of 30. This is for the model exam. I'm talking about the theory exams. Okay, right. Please understand the case study what I am putting for you all. In chemistry, I got 24 out of 70. In practicals, in finals, I got 28 out of 30. In physics, I got 33 out of 70. In practicals, I just missed here. Right. In practicals, I got 25 out of 30. So these practicals are for the final exam. Right. So these were the 5 subjects. I would like to know from you all, ladies and gentlemen, if any one of you had these kind of marks 1 month before the board exams for 12th in the CBSE, in what situation you would have been? In what situation would you all have been? The question is left to you. Now I just go back. When I got these marks, I was perturbed, I was disturbed. I got these marks not because I was not talented or I was not capable. I had personal problems in my house. I'm not going to tell about those problems here. But who was the mentor at that time who brought me out of this situation within 1 month? Right? It was my biology teacher. It was my biology teacher. I put her name here, Professor Madam Chandra. Right? She was in DPS Bilai, then she went to DPS Grasim. I'm first talking only about my schooling days. So after she mentored me, she gave me certain valuable pieces of advice, and she told my strengths. What are my strengths? She said my strength is mathematics. And you can clearly see in the model exam in mathematics, I got 65, it was not bad, but in other subjects, it was very bad. So after she mentored me for 1 month, right? In board exams, that is, I put the time, March 1993. The marks became English, it was 60 out of 100. Mathematics, it was 91 out of 100. Biology, it was 9 out of 70. It became 77. Sorry, not 77. 52 out of 70. That is 52 plus 25, it becomes 77 out of 100. Right. In chemistry, I got 41 out of 70. In physics, I got 52 out of 70. Overall, it was 74.8%. Right. Now, what do you see in these two results? Model exams 1 month before board, 1 month henceforth, it is 74.8. In the model exams, I did not have even 43% overall, but there it becomes 74.8. Now, what is the effective mentoring done by Professor Madam Chandra? Right? She was and she is like a mother to me. She came to my house. I remember that day after my practical exams got over in biology. We had rat dissection. One very basic question was asked to me by the external examiner. What is the gender of this rat? And I could not answer. I think I could not answer, but the marks don't show that. I got 25 out of 30. So there was a soft corner in her. She thought I'm capable. I can clear the IIT entrance. I can clear the pre-engineering test. I can clear the pre-medical test. Now the case study is only me. I am getting mentored here to change my marks because I am in dire strait. But once the results come in the month of May 1993, I am a quite happy soul, 74.8%. Now the question to all of you is it the only presence of Professor Madam Chandra which made the change, or is it that she gave me certain valuable piece of advice so that I can change my marks not only in terms of numbers but in terms of a personality, which can fetch me some things in the future? Because had it been just increase of 10 to 15 marks, it would not have made any sense. But if you see the PowerPoint slide, there is a huge difference in the model exams and the board exams within 1 month. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, the effective mentoring, the effective mentoring of the students, the effective mentoring of the students have to go. Please, silence, please. Silence, please. Yes, please. The effective mentoring of the students has to go not only in terms of marks, but in terms of personality. So first is the performance and second is the personality. And Professor Madam Chandra was able to touch both of them in my case, in my performance and in my personality. Right? Now, I'll take another 10 minutes time. So this was my schooling. Right. Now I'll come to my college days. Right. In my Master of Science. Again. My Master of Science. I had done integrated 5 years, right? First, I'm giving you my example. Then, using my example, I will show how it can be extended to others, right? In a holistic way, right? In my Master of Science. So, in my first 2 years, I had almost 65% to 70% marks. Not very high, right? In my third year, I had about 90%. In my fourth year, I had about 95%. In my fifth year, I had about 95%. What do you see here now? In my first 2 years, 65 to 70%, third year about 90%, fourth year about 95%, fifth year about 95%. Now, my question to all of you is, can you gauge what type of a personality I am from my marks? What type of a personality I am or I was in my schooling days and in my Master of Science days from my marks? Can you gauge my personality? Anybody has an answer? Just look at my marks. In my schooling days, model exam, board exams, and my Master of Science, these are my marks. I am not shy to show you my marks. I'm very proud because this is how I achieved and I could make it to the Indian Institutes of Technology. Right. What do you gauge of my personality? And each one of you and others have this capacity. When you are in school, when you are in college, if you are able to gauge properly what you are, then you can give proper mentoring to your students. And that is what I am doing. I have understood what I was in my schooling days and in my college days. And in the same perspective, I mentor my students. And that is what I am doing. But never only respond only when I am Right. This is what I love meeting days. I best but there are 8 years. They say I'm 3 years old. Gauge my parents answer from you. What I what you see her because I have this and now was the FGK Murthy. All to me somebody who is and some tips of how to answer questions. These two the father give tips of how to important. How do you answer parents? How do you answer to your superiors? How do you answer to your subordinates? How do you answer to everybody? How do you answer to God? And that is how we started today's talk with a prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, in both the cases, in my schooling days, it was Professor Madam Chandra who came to my house. In the second case, Professor MGK Murthy calls me to his house, right? Because they thought that this child has talent, has capacity, and they transformed me. Ladies and gentlemen, my claim is not to call the students to your house, neither you should go to their house. But point number one, we should all treat students as our own children, as our own. And that makes a lot of sense. When we say as our own, it becomes more of an Indianism. The concept of Indianism comes inside. We are treating everybody equal, like our child. It can be a boy or a girl. So if anybody's child is my student, inherently or non-inherently, they become my child. And I mentor them. I give them certain guidelines, say in mathematics, or say in physics, or say in chemistry, or say in geopolitics, or say in commerce, or say in management, or say in law, any field you perceive. Can I treat that child as my own? That is the first main important point, what I gauge from my marks in my schooling days and in my college days of Master of Science. Had it not been for these mentors, Professor Madam Chandra and Professor MGK Murthy in my Master of Science, I perhaps have a disbelief that I can get these marks in the board exams or I can get these marks in Master of Science. Now let me come to the last part and then I will continue with my talk. All right. Okay. Now I'll show you my performances in MTech and PhD when I was in IIT. MTech and PhD. All right. And this was when I was at, I'll put my institutions also here. I'm not telling it from pride or any ego perspective. Just I want to show you what really happened. Now, when I came here, right, I had a transformational change in my life. Not because of my parents, neither because of me, or neither because of my marks. It was a human touch which I saw in my first semester of Master of Technology when I was at IIT. I lost my father on November 13th, 2001. I lost my father on November 13th, 2001. And the final exams were going to start from November 16th, 2001. And I was in Kharagpur, around 3,000 kilometers away from Manipal. Manipal is in the southwest coast. Kharagpur is in northeast. Right. So I went to my HOD, Professor Sudarshan Nanda, at that time, and I told, Sir, I am leaving this course and going. Sir, I am leaving this course and going. I cannot continue. Perhaps I did not have tears because I was not having that strength to bring out those tears on that day. I did not have the strength. I remember early morning, 8:30 a.m., November 13th, I get a call from Calcutta. Shrikant, you're being called back. And I was a student, and today's talk is effective mentoring of students. The question remains, where do we start this mentoring as teachers? Is it in the class? Is it on the playground? Or is it in our house? Or is it in the houses of the students if we know the parents of the students as our friends? Ladies and gentlemen, it makes very less of a sense here to do all these things. But do we see a human touch as what I saw on that day, November 13, 2001? So Professor Sudarshan Nanda told me, you just go out, I will call a timetable meeting. And believe me or not, the transformation came when I was called back into the chambers of the HOD and I was told, you are being given two options. The first option is go back and write the exam next semester. But any day you want to go abroad, you will have certain problems because in the result card will come detained. The second option they gave was they postponed the exams for the whole department by 13 days. They postponed the exams for the whole department by 13 days. I'm not saying it is a confidential issue because many a times we are scared to share these ideas. This is what is human touch. I remember I came back on November 26th by Jet Airways. I'm sorry the connection went. Yeah. I hope you're able to see now.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I want absolute silence, please, colleagues. Please maintain silence because I am going in lot of depth in this topic, and lot of emotions are going to come out. So please maintain silence. I don't want anybody to be talking. If you have anybody who is sitting near to you who wants to talk, please send them away from your cabins. Right? Okay. This will be a very emotional talk. Right, right, right. Okay, right. I was showing this. See it, right? Okay. So when this option was given to me, you can go back and hearts open, right? And today, when I look back on those days, right, on all my tough days in my school, in my Master of Science, in my Master of Technology and PhD days, I was helped by somebody or I was mentored by somebody, not only in my subject, but in making my personality very strong, in making me to understand that I should think of others first and then think about myself. I'm not saying here I have to become a sadhu or I have to become one saint. No. Every entrepreneur talks about these words. Do something for others, create opportunities. And that is what you mentioned. Okay, right. And just continue. So look at this example, look at this case study and try to emulate these values in your students and learn from the students so that you become better. All right. Okay. Now, what do you mean by DSC? Developer Student Clubs, Mentor Groups. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in your college, you have a lot of student clubs. Dramatics Club, you have could be ACM club, which is with respect to computer science. You might have physics club, chemistry club, mathematics club. So every department has a club associated with that department, depending on certain theme. And most of the students are belonging to these clubs. Now, why do the students join these clubs? The first thing they do is they learn from their teachers the basic subjects, and then they want to learn applications on these subjects, and so they join different clubs. So the first thing we need to mentor these students is how to learn the subjects where your expertise is in, and then how to make them to choose a club wherein they can learn to make applications. Say if they're learning mathematics, can they make a computer science application like a drone or any artificial intelligence game, or it could be designing of an automobile car, or designing any website, or designing any compiler, or it could be designing a heat engine, or it could be designing one blast furnace or a coke oven if you are teaching chemistry, or it could be writing metaphors, stories if you're in arts, or it could be designing certain laws, LAWS. If this happens and this happens or this happens, then this kind of a judgment has to be given in the court. So basically now there are two types of mentorings possible at the macro level. One is at your subject level, like how to make the students understand each chapter in your expertise. Like if I was a case study, I could not understand many things in the class, not because I did not have good teachers. I had the best teachers, but I was a slow learner. So first thing we need to understand is what is the speed of learning by the students. And depending on that speed, define for each student in what kind of a boundary he falls in: slow, fast, medium, etc., etc. And see to it that by the end of the semester, like what happened to me in my 12th class, see to it that each student is able to get, it is our efforts is able to get a 60%, and it is possible. It is possible even if the question papers are the toughest, because evaluations will define how your student has done in the examination. Not only done in the examination, but also how the student is going to perform in his or her life in future. That is why in Toastmasters, they say the first main thing is communication, the second is listening, and the third is evaluation. Evaluation is very, very important by the teachers for the students. And same way nowadays, the students evaluate the teachers, that is, they evaluate us, they give a feedback. So it is two-way, front, forward, and reverse. Forward, reverse, forward, reverse. And this process is called as mentor to mentee and mentee to mentor. And mentor or mentors are we people and mentees are students. And remember, I remind you, I am not a perfect mentor. I'm learning still. I'm learning from you all. You have to teach me to become better, perhaps. All right. Okay. Having said that, what are the different groups we have? And this is what we see every time: athletes, homeless, man of character, student skill sets. Athletes we know who are very good in sports. Many a times it happens students don't have proper homes. They are from the lower middle class background. So that is one class. Men of character. So here comes all the students who have been given certain values, value based education basically. So here everybody comes, whether it is a rich class student or whether it's a middle class or a poor class. And the last one is basically student life skills. So your clubs will fall into these four types. So either you can tell your students to join a sports club, or you can tell your students to join a club wherein they learn some tough things. This usually happens for the students who join NCC parade, NCC group. So they will not be given proper homes and they'll be made to stay in tough conditions. And here we all belong to, and we have all belonged to also when we were students, basically, right? Either men or women, gender in specific. And the last one, the last club is talking all about student life skills. So your student clubs will fall in these four, and we need to mentor our students in our subjects and when they are here in either one of them. I'm saying either one, or it can be more, basically. All right. Okay. Now, what is mentoring basically? This is very important. Many a times when I used to hear talks on mentor-mentee relationship, that is, here a teacher or a faculty to student relationship or student to teacher faculty relationship, I fail to understand that when somebody is talking in front of me, whether I can imbibe those characteristics, I can imbibe those qualities, what he or she is talking as a mentor, and when he or she mentored some students as mentees. So I think it would have gone for almost 12 to 15 years for me. So it took a lot of time to understand what do you mean by mentor and mentee, and how do you make it more effective? Right. So perhaps if I attend a workshop, I become a mentee and somebody else mentors me. So it doesn't mean that today I'm only a mentor. No, right? Tomorrow, if I attend a workshop conducted by you, I become a mentee of anybody of you, basically. So this relationship of mentor and mentee will be there throughout in our life, and both the concepts will be running in our brains. And this is what they teach in Toastmasters: communication, thinking, and listening. Throughout in Toastmasters, you have to take these three roles: either you communicate, or you think, or you listen, basically. All right. So when you say communicate, you can take the role of a faculty or a student. When you say thinking, you are giving a talk on the spot. That means a student has asked you a question and you are answering. So it is on the spot thinking, communicating, thinking. And what do you mean by listening? Listening amounts to evaluation. You listen to your students either vocally, or you listen to your students through answer papers and you evaluate. So this is what is listening. So communication, thinking, and listening. And all these three components are embedded in every one of us throughout our life. Whether we become a perfect mentor at some time or we had been perfect mentees at some time, it doesn't matter. But the roles remain throughout our life. Okay, all right. Now let us come to this. Now, what do you mean by mentoring? Right? So it depends on relationships and experiences. Right? Now, what do you mean by relationships here? For the mentees, basically. So, focused on the growth and accomplishment of an individual. All right. Now, let me take you back to my days, right? So, when Professor Madam Chandra, right, or Professor MGK Murthy, when I was doing my Master of Science, or Professor Sudarshan Nanda, when I was in IIT, right? All these three professors were three human beings, right, who wanted me to make a career, right? As the slide shows, first let us understand our own example, right? So what was my growth in my 12th class till the model exams? That is what she saw. Or what was my growth in my Master of Science before I met Professor MGK Murthy? So after I meet these people, they help me to accomplish certain goals in life, right? So basically what these mentors do is they try to find out how much you have grown and how much you can accomplish further, right? And let me become very clear. All my teachers told that Shrikant, you are good in mathematics. Take mathematics in future and go ahead and you can diversify into computer science, right? So God had made me blessed. God had expanded my minds. God had made me to think out of the box. Perhaps in those days in India, engineering and medicine was the cup of tea for everybody. If anybody had told to any other student, hey, beta, please take MSc in mathematics, they would not have taken if they had engineering as an option. And I had engineering as an option. I had. I got in Manipal Institute of Technology for Engineering in the same year. My mother calls me and tells, will you join? Because I already joined for Master of Sciences at Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, deemed University, Puttaparthi, where we get free education, quality education, value-based. I told my mother, I cannot cheat my own organization where I'm studying now. I left engineering as an option. So I was mentored by my teachers. They showed me the way. Even my mother became my teacher because she accepted, Shrikant, you are good in mathematics, proceed. Not that my mother was not from a well-educated and a well-off background. She was, but she had common sense. She developed that common sense, which everybody of us today do it. So we need to understand when we say mentoring to show an exact path to a student where they are good at. Like I was good in mathematics. That doesn't mean it is sciences. That was a misconception in India in those days. Without mathematics, I don't exist. My blood pressure is 120, 80. They are numbers. It's all about numbers. My height is something. I am talking, I am audible. I have got certain decibels of sound. It's all mathematics. And that is what made sense to me that yes, I have to go about. So this is what is the thing what we need to do to make it very effective, right? First, understand where the student is in and then help him or her to accomplish their tasks, right? Many a times what happens when a student does badly, even I have seen in my own career, I have seen when a student does badly, I get angry. So I tend to tell the student, hey, tu acha nahi karega. I tend to get those thoughts. I'll not tell, I get those thoughts. And I want to communicate the same to the students, but I will not. Because God has given me that fear, saying that tell good things to your people. Tell only good things. Because there are positives and negatives going on in our brains. Positives and negatives going on in others' brains. So we should look at the positives of others, talk about those positives so that they will reciprocate back to us saying what is positive in us. And that is what I do as a faculty, as a teacher. I try to find out what are the positives of mine from my students. I am not scared to give a talk in the Toastmasters Club before the students only. So many talks I have given, like that many of my colleagues have given. And we try to find out like where we can improve, what are our development patterns. And I'm pretty sure all of you also do it. But many a times I had that misconception, and also I used to conspire thinking that if students talk about my development pattern, it is not that good. But gone are those days we think on those lines, right? We are in the international arena these days, and we need to think on these lines. Exactly. All right. Okay. So The second point here, personal and reciprocal. So once this has happened, right, look at the personal agendas of the student, like what the teacher saw in me. Basically, whatever my problems, many a times it happens, students have problems, so they will be able to fare well. If everything goes fine, then it's okay. So basically, looking at the personal aspects, try to improve the students, and the students will reciprocate back. So if the personal aspects are good, the students do well. They get the highest rank, say in Nagpur University examinations or in the state board examinations. You can try it with your own kids when they are in school. And then when they come to the college, there'll be teachers who will do it. So you can clearly find out what was your mentoring results, and what are the mentoring results of the teachers who are not parents, right? So that makes a lot of difference. You can clearly find out where your child stands from your mentoring and from your teachers, from the teachers who mentor your children. I suppose you get the point there, right? Then other forms of assistance given to the kids, basically in the college, like you give certain teaching material, PowerPoint slides, and now we are giving online education. How to make this online education effective, which platform we will use, like Zoom or and Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx. So every platform has its positives and negatives, because I have used many. Today I'm using Google Meet, right? So how to reciprocate our thoughts through these platforms, so that more than 95% of the students will benefit from your talks, and all of them will say that we have learned at least 70% or more what you taught, basically. All right. And also, is there a way out of asking questions to the students, and is there a way out of getting the answers by chat or orally? So once again, it becomes reciprocal. All right. So this is what I mean by relationships, faculty to student relationship. And remember, when I say faculty, it is not only faculty, we can become students, right? And students also can take the role, I'm not saying as a faculty, but as a mentor for us, by giving us a positive feedback. And it makes a lot of sense. I have improved myself. I have seen there are a lot of improvements in me day by day when I talk only about professionalism to my students, either in computer science or in science, society, and technology, or it can be any other holistic topic. Now, what are the experiences here, basically? When you say relationships in mentoring, next is experiences in mentoring. So, the different types of experiences, what you can see in a mentor to mentee relationship is, first is the broad forms of support, right? Professional and career development. So it is directly linked with this point, growth and accomplishment, right? Career development, first year, second year, third year. What are the marks? How they are performed in the core subjects. And then after their performances in the core subjects, are they able to get a job, basically, right? Then what do you mean by role modeling? So this is very important. So these are all experience. It comes only by experience. It comes over a period of time, basically, right? Can you give certain roles to students, like coordinator, class representative of any class, say BSc first year, BSc second year, BSc third year, or a president of any student club, or a captain of a cricket team, captain of a football team, or a vice captain of a cricket team, or any role like this, so that the students will understand what do they mean by leadership. And when you say leadership, does it hint at these, basically leadership in athletics, that is from athletes, leadership in NCC, leadership in value based education? That means, are the students able to work in a team, and are they developing good habits, and are they developing life skills? All right. So these are the four skill sets. I'm just putting this word clubs ruggedly, where you can mentor the students. All right. Okay, this is very important here. Now, psychological support. This is very, very important. And because of which I survived in all my years of education, because I had a tough time. I had personal problems, but my performance was not at all bad. I remember when I went for the 25th year to Delhi Public School, Bhilai, my teachers were so happy. And they wanted to know like what really happened in my 12th class, because I was bright, how I suddenly fell down, and then how I came up. Right? And now I'm not saying I came up means I became a big shot. No, but I improved my position. Every moment in life is an improvement, and we should not compare ourselves with others. And this is what is one main point in mentoring. We need to tell our students, please don't compare yourself with others. That is very very important. मुझे क्या जॉब मिला, इन्फोसिस में मिला, उसको क्या जॉब मिला, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में मिला, उसको किस में मिला, अमेज़न में मिला. See, the ego problems will start. Slowly one student gets into depression. So they say, along with communication, thinking and listening, silence also is important. Where you require silence, you need to teach silence to the students. So communication, thinking, listening, silence were required. And that is what it is. Mutually beneficial. When you say mutually beneficial in teaching experiences to the students, it comes from reciprocating in relationships. So relationships and experiences are directly related for the mentees. If relationships are good, experiences are good. If these are bad, these also will be bad. Both are directly linked. And what I have seen in my life, relationships with my students, with my parents, with my relations was very good. But there were some problems which I don't want to talk it out here. There was somebody sick in my house, all right, because of which everything became topsy-turvy. It can happen to anybody. It doesn't mean what happened to me should happen to somebody else. That was my weak point. And that is what teachers taught me, how to make your weak point as a strong point. And that is what I am saying. Please don't compare yourself with others. Everybody has problems, and this is what we have to communicate while we mentor the students, right? For good performances, and if at all there are bad performances, how to bring them up. Everybody, God has given equal opportunities. All right. So when I say mentoring matters, right? What are the 2 points? Right. A positive relationship is very important. Okay. This has the maximum effect in mentoring of a student. When I say positive relationship to be taught to the students persistence also will improve. If the student has done badly in one subject, he or she will not lose interest if we have given mentorship in terms of positive relationship. If we have told the students to be positive, suppose say one student in mathematics out of 20 gets 8 in the first midterm exam, and it is taught by me. I call that student and tell that student, beta, don't worry. You are good, but somehow you did not perform well. Do well next time. So that is a positive feedback. Instead of that, if I tell, hey beta, बहुत खराब किया है तूने, तू fail हो जाएगा. No, I have seen in my own life when I was a teacher. Sometimes I used to tell sternly to the students, and the students will not like it. Sometimes I used to change my voice, the modulation, right? Treat the student more like in my family. And I have done the other way also. Treat the student as away from my family. I have done it. I'm not talking about somebody else. I have done that. And I've seen a seesaw change in the students' attitudes, in behaviors. Right? And this is what I learned from my teachers. When my teachers were stern with me, when they did not know what was wrong with me. And many a times students perform badly when something is wrong. It can be in their house, or he or she might not be interested in that subject. So it is our job. It has happened to me myself. Sometimes students are not interested in my subject. So I need to do that. I need to bring them back on track so that at least they will get 50% or 60% of the marks. And they can go ahead because their interest will lie somewhere else. They might be good in arts. They might be good in law. They might be good in chartered accountancy. Somebody might be good at sports medicine. So interests are different, but when they are doing their first year, it will be different. They have to study all the subjects, all right? So this is what it is. So all perceptions will matter here. What are the perceptions from the faculty side and from the student side? So we need to be very, very positive. Remember, positivity in relationships have to be told to the students, and positivity in terms of experiences. And here, role modeling is very important. Give every student a chance to become a leader in your class. That give them some position in your class that is left to you. You don't have to ask your principal or anybody else, basically. All right. Okay. Now, what are the 5 effective strategies? I'll just be back in 1 minute. Okay. I'll just be back. All right. All right. Okay. I hope you're able to see it, everybody. Right. Now, what are the 5 effective strategies of mentoring? First is make yourself available. Second is foster community. That means tell the students about mutual coexistence. Right. That means you talk to the student, student talks to you. Both are existing because of each other. Right. It can be you yourself or you in a group of faculty. Biology faculty, mathematics faculty, physics faculty, together working with one student becomes interdisciplinary. Say 3 faculties might be working in one project, so it becomes interdisciplinary. Say biology faculty is working with sports medicine, then it becomes multidisciplinary. So interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary are different from the perspective of interaction with the students, right? It is there even in class 12th board examination. Like when I took biology, I took with mathematics, biology, mathematics, physics, chemistry. Some people took biology, physics, chemistry, and physical education. So this is what is called fostering community living among the students. So telling them which subjects they can choose to do projects, basically, right? Because when you do a project, it becomes a practical experience and students will get better chances for a job, right? And next is be attentive to the students, basically, right? Encourage participation in the community. So you have to encourage the students to ask questions, right? And when the students are asking questions, it should not be only in your subject, but it should be with the allied subjects also. So it becomes more interdisciplinary and be understanding. So these are the 5 effective strategies. This does not mean you have to make yourself available 24 hours for your students. No, give them certain time and give them appointments. In the beginning of the semester itself, you tell when and all you are free, basically, right? Every day you can spend half an hour with the students, and it makes lot of sense. You will feel when you go back to your house, you will have more happiness when you talk to your family members. Say when you talk to your husband or wife or to your children or to your parents, you will feel more happy because you treated your students as your own. Then comes, once you do this, try to imbibe or try to embed community living among the students, right? So what do you mean by community living among students? Mutual coexistence. So listen to students, students will listen to you. Not only in your subject, but also you as a faculty listen to other faculty colleagues when you are doing interdisciplinary projects. Like if you are doing a project on bioinformatics, say you are a mathematics faculty, you are working on bioinformatics, then you have to work with biology faculty colleague. If you are working on aeronautics as a mathematics faculty, then you have to work with perhaps with a physics faculty colleague also, and even a chemistry faculty also. Say suppose you are working on legal aspects as a mathematics faculty, then you have to work with the law faculty. So first is community living among the faculties, interdisciplinary, right? Then multidisciplinary. Can you go out of academics? Can you go to sports medicine? Can you go to yogasanas? Can you go into self-reliance programs? And that is what is called as entrepreneurship, basically. So can you bring in faculty from there along with you and work? It becomes multidisciplinary. Remember, interdisciplinary learning and multidisciplinary learning are the ask of the day in the new education policy, NEP. Okay? Right. All right. All right. So these are the 5 strategies. Okay, agreed. Right. Now, what is the life cycle model, the mentoring relationship cycle? So first is the beginning. You find out who are your students. Second is you challenge your students by teaching them, by giving them good problems to find solutions, and then you test them. So here you can make presentations, role play, marketing, finance, HR. You can also do strengths finder, find the strength of a student and their development patterns. The neuro-linguistic program, try to sympathize, empathize. The meaning of empathize is putting yourself in students' shoes and trying to find out how you will feel in that position. But you should not empathize always. You should empathize only in genuine cases. Because in more than 90% of the cases, students will do well on their own. So sympathy and empathy is required for a certain number of students. And perhaps I belonged to this category for my whole of my career. Okay. So after you have done these two, come to the mentoring part. And when you say mentoring, you have to give them a project in your field. Gone are those days that you can just fix yourself to a textbook. You need to have projects, all right? Say on, say anything. It can be a supermarket, it can be a smart city, it can be a drone, or it can be cleaning your college, Swachh Bharat. First is Swachh College, right? Cleaning your classroom. So how will you optimize it? So all these you can give a small projects to your students, and the students will learn and they will get mentored as mentees. Then transition. The meaning of transition is you are making the student go towards their goal. That is, when they get a job, how they should use these techniques, and these techniques in their jobs and become successful. All right. Now, what do you mean by FERPA, Family Education Rights and Privacy Act? Now, let us look at this and how it helps in student mentoring. So, the point number 1 here for the mentors, contact your mentee's professor with questions, basically. So, suppose you are a mentor and your mentee has taken, say, 5 subjects in BSc first year. You are a mentor as a faculty. You are teaching this mentee only in mathematics. Now you need to know how this mentee has performed in physics. So contact that physics professor. How that mentee has performed in chemistry, contact and find out. And then when you meet your mentee personally, when you are given an appointment, as I have told you, you can tell your mentee what are their positives and where they can develop. And this is what happened to me. Professor Rajkumar Sharma from Delhi Public School, Bhilai, right? He actually told me first, Shrikant, you are good in mathematics. And he was my chemistry professor, remember. That means what? He has found out from my maths professor how I am in mathematics. So when he got an answer that he is good in mathematics, he immediately told in one of the chemistry labs before other students, Shrikant, mathematics mein acha hai. So this is what happens when you talk to all the professors of the mentee. So you can mentor your mentee better, right? And be very frank when you do that. And nowadays, this is happening basically. You have softwares to find out the mentees' marks, attendance, and all these things. Then send an email to mentees professors introducing yourself and asking for feedback. So before you do this, first you should do this basically. And if your mentee is in student learning services, meet with the professor and offer to be introduced to the class. That means if you are a mathematics teacher and if your mentee is there, you can go to the physics class and you can introduce yourself in that class before your mentee and others also. So what happens is other students who have other faculty as mentors will come to know more about you. So that suppose say one student is having a physics faculty as a mentor and you are a mathematics faculty, and if that student has problems in mathematics, he or she can come to you also apart from the mentor for clearing the doubts basically. So these are all interrelated. Ask another professor to introduce you to the student after the class. So basically, after you get introduced to all in one class, you can tell that professor to introduce you specifically to your mentee after the class. So did you understand? That becomes one-to-one. So here it is one to many basically. All right. So these are very, very important. I can pass these slides, right? And remember, you cannot discuss your mentee's academic records with anyone who does not have a vested interest. So in either of the case, you are not supposed to. You are like a clinical doctor for your mentee. You should keep everything confidential, right? So be consistent, be realistic, and it's okay to say no. All right. So these are the three goals which you should tell to your mentees as mentors. Be consistent. Sachin Tendulkar was told by his coach Ajrekar, Virat Kohli, the classical example, Sandeep Singh in hockey, right? Or Saina Nehwal from badminton. Right? These are all in sports. And sports is also a field in academics these days. So you can tell your mentees to learn from games and sports and apply it in academics. Remember, any subject is a game, right? You start and you end with victory, right? It becomes a sport when you can make it very holistic in nature. That means your subject you can correlate with other subjects including with sports, then it becomes sports basically. Be realistic, tell them to be realistic, not to be idealistic. So when they are realistic, they can take success and failure in the same beam balance. They should be realistic and tell them to say no when they have to say no. Here they can make good friends, they can develop good habits. So if there are bad things, they should say no, right? Good friends, good habits, right? And tell them what is the right time of every event in life. When they are 10 years old, what is good for them? When they are 18 years old, what is good for them? When they are 25 years old, what is good for them? And usually you will tell them, please settle down. When they are 40 years old, what is good for them? Because teachers will remain teachers, basically, right? So these are all some of the literatures what we have basically, and this is what I had to say in my talk as how to effectively mentor students. I have certain other points which are related to these slides only, same points but little bit more in detail. I will just pass it on. You can have a look at those points basically, right? Like what you can do to effectively mentor and how you can make mentee as a better mentee. Okay, with this I would like to end. Any questions from any one of you? Any questions? Any questions? Right, any questions? Feel free to ask. Please, whenever you teach in your class, try to bring in your personal examples like what I did now today. You can bring, I give my personal examples in my class. I talk about my class performance and people are very empathetic towards me nowadays, right? You can do that. Please feel free. And that is what is called as forensic mentoring. Forensic mentoring. What do you mean by forensic mentoring? Look at the past, connect to present, and make a good future. And who is the future or who are the future? They are all the students, right? Okay, anything you want to ask, you can ask me anything. You can ask me about how to tell the students to make good relationships among friends. What are positive relationships? That is very, very important. You should tell your students till they complete their education, friends are only friends. Friends should remain till academics and sports. Friends should remain only to inculcate good um, ethical behaviors from others. Friends should remain to inculcate positive points from others. Friends should remain to become more positive in life. Right? These are what you should tell your mentees. Right? And mentees are the students. It's very, very important in relationships. Many a times these days students find problems when it comes to the word relationships. Right? Experiences, if their relationships are good and correct to academics and sports and extracurricular activities, I'm pretty sure relationships will be perfect. Sorry, experiences will be perfect. So relationships correct, experiences perfect. Experiences perfect, relationships are correct. Relationships, experience. Experiences, relationships. Among the mentees, and you are the mediators in between relationships and experiences of your mentees. You are the mediators. You look at the relationships of the students, okay? Tell them their positives, improve their development patterns, then their experiences also will change. So you are the mediators, like I am a mediator for my students. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Hope you found it interesting. It was not boring, I hope. All right.
Thank you, sir, for an outstanding presentation. Your willingness to share your time and expertise with us in itself speak volumes
Tunga,
of your
Tunga,
humble
Tunga,
nature.
Tunga. I would
Yes,
like to put one point here.
yes,
If it was very interesting, I want questions from everybody. So please tell
yes,
them
sir.
to send questions.
Yes, sir.
Please do that.
Yeah,
Right? Tell them to
yeah,
send questions. I will answer them on my
yeah.
email. Right?
So now let us move forward to the question answer session. So with your permission, I would like to pose the questions asked by our participants. May I, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir. Though we have many questions, but because of the shortage of time, we are addressing only a few. So the first question is, what is the core difference between mentoring today's generation as compared to the previous generation?
Yeah. Now, I forgot to mention one point. There are two things here: mentoring and coaching. Mentoring means giving guidance. Coaching means giving guidance and correcting also. Right? Giving guidance and correcting, looking at the output. If the output is not perfect, so give certain advice to your mentee so that they can become perfect. And that is what is the role of a coach. So any faculty, usually faculties who have say 10 to 15 years experience can become mentors. Say who are having more than 15 years experience can become coach. But that is an idealistic statement. Realistically, anybody can become a coach. Anybody can become a mentor. Remember, coach means they can correct also depending on target output. Now coming to your question, in the earlier generations, like in my parents' generations, engineering and medicine was the cup of tea for everybody. Engineering, medicine, engineering, medicine, engineering, medicine. So the opportunities were less, right? So at that time, when faculty or teachers, when they used to mentor the students, they had limited opportunities. So they could tell the students, say, if they are engineers, they can go to steel plants, or they can join engineering colleges, or they can go to electricity firms like BHEL, NTPC, or they can go to ONGC, etc., etc. They can also tell the students when they go to these companies how they should work, how they should work in a blast furnace, in a coke oven, how they should work in a work site in a NTPC firm, National Thermal Power Corporation, how they should work in ONGC. At that time, Reliance and all, they were just coming up basically. But these days, because of privatization, we are having lot of private software companies which have come into existence. So now mentoring will change. Now we need to tell the students that it is not only engineering, or it is not only becoming a medical doctor, but you can also think about abstractions. Do you have any ideas which can be converted as a product? So you can mentor the students to become entrepreneurs. You can mentor the students to have a startup, or even you can mentor a student to become a coach for any game like cricket, like football, because all these games now are becoming automated. So because it is automated, you don't have to go to the playground. You can sit in your house and give advice. So there are a lot of online facilities available in terms of not only in terms of education, but also in terms of opportunities, which were not there in the earlier days. But in the earlier days, there were jobs which were more public sector oriented, and there were jobs which were contract based also in the public sectors. So if at all somebody is not able to say get a, at that time population also was less. If they are not able to get a permanent job, we can always tell them that you please start from a contract job which is little bit less paid. And at that time, students were ready to go. But gone are those days. Now students don't want a contract job. So the effectiveness of mentoring will change from just being a mediocre in the olden days to being an enterprised edition in these days. So as a mentor, you have to be very enterprising. You need to be very convincing to tell the students, yes, you have an opportunity which is permanent in your field. Even in those days, in the olden days, they were there, but they were limited. Permanent jobs were limited. There were lots of contract jobs. And in the private sector, if jobs were available, they were the least paid. But people were ready to go, specifically in Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi. So people were ready to go. So it is all situation based. So depending on the situation, the mentor has to change the role. If the mentor doesn't change the role, if they are in the obsolete days, then the mentee will not want to have you as a mentor. They will immediately change the mentor, basically, right? But the role of a coach is different. What will the coach do? He or she will not only mentor, but see to it that your goals are achieved. So the role of a coach will remain same in the olden days also and today also. Did you understand what I am saying? So coach's role is same. Has your father achieved his or her goal during his or her time? Have you achieved your goal? So target goal is what in both of you? It will be different. Your father will have something different. It will not be so ambitious, but you will be more ambitious. Because as days go, the per capita income increases. So these are all linked. Did you get my point what I'm saying? Right?
Yes.
So that's the thing. Anything else? Hope I'm convincing.
Yes. So, sir, the second question is, if a mentee lacks any interest in the mentorship program or getting mentored, how to foster mentee's interest and cater to him or her?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So if a mentee has a mentor, say in mathematics, and that mentee's interest is not only in mathematics, but in a combination of subjects like mathematics, geopolitics, and sports. So what happens is the mentee will not be interested in that mathematics mentor, because that mathematics mentor only can tell in a mathematics way, right? So what you should do is at that time, you should put three mentors, one mentor in mathematics, one in geopolitics, one in sports. And all three mentors will have an equal role to play for training that mentee. Did you understand what I am saying? Right?
Yes.
Or if the mentee is not interested in mathematics, and if he gets a mathematics faculty as a mentor, many a times you cannot do this. You cannot give a mentor to a mentee depending on the subject, because we have limitations, right? We have limited number of faculty, we have more students. So, and usually what happens is any faculty who is good in mathematics will know physics and chemistry also, right? Or a physics guy will know mathematics and chemistry also. So many a times the problem will be solved. But if at all a mentee wants specifically a geopolitics faculty or a chartered accountant faculty or a lawyer as a faculty to become a mentor, then you can go in change for the mentor. You can inform the old mentor nicely. Pass that message nicely. Don't be arrogant when you pass that message as a colleague to another colleague. You have to just tell that colleague that this mentee is not interested in your field. This mentee is interested in some other field, right? So we are changing the mentor and we will give you another mentee. So what you should do is you should take a feedback from all the mentees. Take a feedback from the mentees. What are their areas of expertise? What they want to learn and where they want to go after 3 years. So appoint the mentor in that way. Did you understand what I'm saying? Did you
Yes.
understand clearly? But
Yes.
many a times it will not happen. You can bring it very close, right? Either by putting more mentors for one student, that becomes what? Interdisciplinary. Or you can make it multidisciplinary, depending on the student's interests, basically, right? So you can make it more dynamic in nature, right? The mentor-mentee relationship. Did you get it, what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right. Go ahead.
And the third question is, sometimes one student gets advised by many teachers simultaneously. It may become inundated, not knowing how to prioritize the workload. And it can become burdensome to the mentee in case he gets multiple advices. How will he handle it?
That's a very good question. Suppose one student gets advice from five faculties. There's a common saying in management. Suppose there are five advisors, one in mathematics, one in physics, one in chemistry, one in biology, one in geopolitics. The mentee should see which advices he or she needs to take for going to a job. Right? Suppose he wants from mathematics, physics, chemistry, take only those points. The other 2 points he can keep it in the buffer, and he or she can use it afterwards, might be after he or she joins the job, because once you join the job it becomes more holistic. You require knowledge of every field these days. If you join Infosys, if you join TCS, if you join Wipro, Cognizant, or Cisco, or Reliance, or Jindal Steel, or JSW Steel, or Sunflag Steel in Nagpur, any company you want to join, you need to be holistic. So when you are studying, take only those points what is required from the perspective of getting a job first, right? Or if you want to go abroad, any university you want to apply, so put priorities in that way. It doesn't mean leave other advisors, totally put them in dustbin. No, use those like I have done. Use those advisors afterwards in your life. So make one small diary for your 30 to 35 years of your career. Jot down all the points, right? Life is short. Use every minute, every second, every year, right? And you don't know how these 40 years will pass, right? Everybody can become big. Take all the advisors from your mentors. If not at that time, use it at a later time. And you can change your field also. That is what you should tell as a mentor to your mentee. You don't have to remain, say, if you are working in a steel company like Zindal Steel, you can change your job from Zindal Steel and join Air India, right? If you are a computer engineer here, you can join as a computer engineer there, because steel is used even in aeroplanes. You can join railways, or you can join Nagpur Metro. Lot of jobs are being created. Nagpur Metro is where steel is being used. All the pillars, the tallest pillars which are being, so this is the way we need to tell to the mentees, where if they're interested in say steel engineering, what are the perspectives they can look at, right? So this is the answer what I have given, right? Yeah, go ahead.
So the fourth and our last question is, what procedures does the coach or mentor have in place to formalize your coaching or mentoring relationship?
Yeah, the procedure, I have already told you the strategies, right? I've clearly told the strategies. So the strategies remains the same, basically, right? Even if you are a mentor or a coach, right? The strategies will remain same. But remember, coach will look at the final output, right? Final output of the mentee. You can take Ajrekar for Sachin Tendulkar, right? So how Sachin Tendulkar played for 22 years. He was not only corrected by Ajrekar, but even by his brother, Ajit Tendulkar. So every day Sachin plays a cricket match, the day before, Ajit will call him and tell him how he should play on the playground. And Sachin used to follow his brother's advice also. So he had two coaches, one from his family and one from outside. So you have to see what the coach says, how you can reach the final output, right? The role of the mentor is to reach that final output, what kind of strategies you will use, right? And it is not always that you will reach your goal. You might fail, right? That is what I said, in my slides. The last slide, what I said is very, very important. You might fail, right? This one, it's okay. Be realistic. You have to be realistic, right? Like I will give an example for this. I'll give an example for this. You take the example of MS Dhoni, who is the only captain who has won as a captain the T20, the World Cup, and the Champions Trophy. and he is one of the best finishers of the game. But certain matches like India versus New Zealand last year, 2019 semi-finals, Dhoni played well, but when he became run out, we lost by 16 runs, a very crucial match. That doesn't mean Dhoni failed. India was 95 for 6, and Dhoni and Ravindra Jadeja brought India close to victory. So that is also a part of victory. You learn, right? You brought India close to victory, but why you lost? So you correct yourself as a team, basically. So what happens is when you are mentoring and telling your mentee that you have failed, you should not tell the mentee you have failed. You should tell that you have done all the points correctly, but on certain points, you need to change your strategy. You got my point?
Yes.
Got my point what I am saying? You have to change your strategy. Now, what do you mean by changing your strategy? You might have started badly, but you ended well. Because you started badly, you could not reach victory. You came close to victory. So what kind of changes you can bring in the strategy? So as a mentee, that mentee has to be told, right, at which points in a particular project he should make a better team. Did you understand what I'm saying? At which points in a particular project he should make a better team. It is not he has failed, right? Certain strategies went wrong. That's all. Okay, right. Anything else?
Thank you, sir, for your precise and accurate responses.
Hope you found it interesting.
Yes, surely, sir.
Yeah.
No
Yes,
matter what language.
Have you given the feedbacks? Anybody? No, I think. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yeah. No matter what language you speak, a kind and smiling thank you always speaks to everyone. I take this opportunity to express a heartfelt gratitude to our today's speaker, Dr. Srikant Prabhu sir, for accepting our invitation and enlightening us with his knowledge. It gave deep insights into the topic and also revealed many interesting facts. The points explained by Sir were really informative and useful. I am pretty sure the precious knowledge the Sir shared with us will definitely help us in our future. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. Srikant Prabhu sir for taking out time from his busy schedule and enlightening us with his knowledge. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I also take this opportunity to thank the management and principal sir, Dr. Katie Thomas, for organizing this faculty development program and also for giving us a wonderful virtual platform to enhance our knowledge. I would also like to thank organizing committee members for all their guidance and technical assistance. Finally, I thank all the participants for your valuable presence and active participations. Before ending today's session, I would like to remind you all to fill the feedback form without fail. We will meet again virtually tomorrow for another interesting session on the topic ICT, Teaching and Future of E-Learning by Dr. Sujit Gajanand Rao Mehta. Till then, wish you all a great time ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Tunga. Thank you. Thank you all.
Welcome.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dilip. Bye.
Have a nice day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, sir.